Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Manchester United. And this isn't just any story. It's a tale of unimaginable tragedy, unbelievable resilience, and a core philosophy that built a footballing empire, not just once, but twice.
You know, this quote really says it all. It all starts with a group of young men who had a dream so big, so powerful, that even the worst tragedy imaginable couldn't put it out. So, let's get into how that dream was forged in the first place.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's after World War II, and Manchester United is, well, literally in ruins. Their stadium, Old Trafford, was bombed out. The club needed a savior, and they found one in a new manager named Matt Busby. Now, Busby came in with this kind of revolutionary idea for the time. Forget buying expensive stars. He wanted to build a team from the ground up with young, homegrown talent.
So Busby and his right-hand man, Jimmy Murphy, they went all over the country just scouting for the absolute best young players they could find. And what they built? Well, it was something special. They were affectionately called the Busby Babes. And these guys, they weren't just talented. They were a total force of nature. They just rolled over everyone, dominating English football and winning back-to-back league titles in '56 and '57. Just incredible.
But here's the thing about this team. Their ambition was just huge. Conquering England? Yeah, that wasn't enough for them. They set their sights on the European Cup. And you got to remember, no English club had ever won it before. This was a massive deal. They were dead set on being the best, not just in their own backyard, but in the entire world.
And then everything changed. On their way home from a European match in Yugoslavia on February 6, 1958, that incredible dream just came to a horrific end. After stopping to refuel, their plane crashed on a snowy runway in Munich. It was their third attempt to take off.
Just imagine this. Sir Bobby Charlton, a survivor who would go on to become a true club legend, described this scene, the pure chaos of waking up in the middle of all that wreckage. It's just an unimaginable moment of horror, one that would completely alter the course of the club, and of course the lives of every single person involved, forever.
The human cost was just immense. We're talking 23 people who lost their lives in that crash. And this wasn't just a blow to a football club, it was a devastating blow to an entire community.
And for the team itself, the devastation was catastrophic. 8 of those incredible Busby Babes, the very heart and soul of that European dream, were gone. Just like that. A third of the squad, wiped out in a single horrible instant.
So in the aftermath, Matt Busby is literally fighting for his life in the hospital. The club is on the absolute brink of collapse. You can't even imagine. But it's his assistant, Jimmy Murphy, who steps up. He just refused to let Manchester United die. He single-handedly held the club together through its darkest hour.
When Busby finally recovered and came back, he made this solemn promise: "We will rebuild." And so began this painstaking 10-year journey. They literally had to start from scratch. You can see it here. They win their first big trophy in '63, and then it's all about building towards that one ultimate moment of redemption.
And then it happened. 10 years after the tragedy, a whole new generation of players, led by survivors like the great Bobby Charlton, they finally did it. They conquered Europe. They beat Benfica 4-1 at Wembley, and in doing so, they fulfilled the dream of their fallen teammates. It was more than a win. It was a victory for the Babes.
You'd think that would be the end of the story, right? But after Busby's era finally came to an end, the club just fell into this long, slow decline. For more than 2 decades, that incredible glory of 1968 felt like a lifetime ago. But then, in 1986, the club decided to turn to another fiery Scot to try and bring them back, a man named Alex Ferguson.
And look, Ferguson's task was nothing short of monumental. He inherited a club that he himself called a wreck. And just look at this chart. They were trailing their biggest, most bitter rivals, Liverpool, by a huge margin in league titles. His stated goal? He said he wanted to knock Liverpool right off their perch, and honestly, at the time, people just laughed.
So what's really amazing here is the parallel. You've got 2 managers separated by a whole generation, but they're facing the exact same fundamental challenge. Busby had to rebuild from literal ashes and tragedy. Ferguson had to rebuild from the figurative ashes of a losing culture that had set in for 20 years. And you know what? Both of them would find the solution in the exact same place.
That's right. Just like Busby before him, Ferguson knew that the real soul of Manchester United was in its youth academy. So what's the first thing he does? He immediately triples the club's scouting network.
He was absolutely determined to find a new generation to carry that torch.
And this was the question on every fan's mind for years. Where is the next generation? Where are the new Busby Babes to carry on this legacy? After so many years of waiting, of frustration, Ferguson was about to deliver. And he was going to do it in a way that nobody, and I mean nobody, could have predicted.
And he found them. Boy, did he find them. A group of 6 incredibly talented kids, all friends who came up through the academy at the same time. They won the FA Youth Cup together in 1992 and became famously known as the Class of '92. You had Giggs, Beckham, Scholes, Butt, the Nevilles. Each one a unique personality, but together they just clicked perfectly.
But here's where it gets interesting. Ferguson does something incredibly bold. He sells off a bunch of senior, well-established players to make room for these kids. And the criticism was intense. I mean, people thought he was crazy. Then they lose their first game of the 1995 season, 3-1, and pundit Alan Hansen comes out with this now infamous line, totally dismissing their chances.
Ferguson's response to all this noise? It was simple, and it was brilliant. He argued that these kids were actually his secret weapon. Why? Because they were hungry, and more importantly, they were completely fearless. They didn't have 20 years of failure weighing on their shoulders. All they had was a future to go out and win. They were there to play football without fear, and that's what made them so dangerous.
And you know what? They went out and proved him right. Against all odds, that very same season, they went on to win the league and the FA Cup double. Ferguson's crazy, audacious bet on his fledglings paid off in the most spectacular way possible. It silenced every single critic and completely redefined the club for a whole new era.
And that was just the beginning. The class of '92 became the absolute backbone of a team that just dominated English football for more than a decade. They won trophy after trophy, and yes, in 1999, they won the Holy Grail again, the European Cup. And in the end, they finally did it. They surpassed Liverpool's record for league titles, making good on Ferguson's seemingly impossible promise from all those years ago. So when you look back at it all, that dream, the spirit of the Busby Babes, it wasn't destroyed in the snows of Munich. Not really. It was just dormant, lying in wait, ready to be reborn in Ferguson's fledglings. And that powerful cycle proves, beyond a doubt, that the club's founding philosophy, that unwavering belief in its own youth, was and still is its greatest and most enduring strength.
And so, this whole incredible story really leaves you with one powerful question, doesn't it? What is it that truly makes a legacy immortal? Is it the dizzying heights of triumph? The crushing lows of tragedy? Or is it something else? Is it that relentless, unbreakable spirit that refuses to let one define the other, connecting them both across the generations?